Awesome. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Tree is going to be our trainer for the session. I'll let her introduce herself and kick off. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Hello, hello, everyone. Let me share my screen first. All right. So, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining and congrats on becoming HOTS Data Quality Interns. I'm Tri Selasa. I'm based in Jakarta, Indonesia. And welcome to today's session. All right. So, today we are going to learn on how to map with ID editors. Okay, yeah, we are going to learn the importance of knowledge of ID for validation. We're going to learn how to use advanced ID features and how to spot common ID errors. So let's take a look on ID editor. So the ID editor is a user-friendly tool that allows you to directly make changes in OpenStreetMap from a web browser. So you don't have to download anything, you don't have to install anything. I mean, no wonder it is used for by almost all all beginner users. So as validators, to give constructive feedbacks to new mappers, it is essential to know about the tools. I mean, that the beginners are using. I mean, it's important to know what they are experiencing when mapping, what kind of tools that they are using the most, which is ideator. Yeah, it's the most common tools used by the beginners. And by being aware of the strength and the weaknesses of the ID editor, you can better anticipate the errors and issues you're likely to come across as a validator. Right. So to start mapping using ID editor, we have two ways on doing that. I mean, we can start from osm.org. You can go to the osm.org and then log in and then zoom into the area that you want to map, and then click on the small arrow next to the edit button, the upper right corner, and then click on the edit with ID, and then you can go map. So that's how to start osm.org from, you can start ID editor from osm.org. Okay, let me show you how to do that. So this is osm.org, osm.org, and then you can log in using your uh, username, using your OpenStreetMap account. And once you have successfully logged in, you will see your username in the upper right corner. That means you are ready to use the ID editor through openstreetmap.org. Then zoom into the map, to the area that you want to map, because if you don't zoom in, yeah, the edit button will be disabled. So you need to zoom in to the area that you want to map. You can just search the area that you want to map, or you can just zoom in manually on the map. And then next to the edit button, you can see there is a small arrow. You can click that and then click edit with ID or in browser editor. Okay, and then you will see the map and you can start mapping there. Okay, so that's how to start ID editor through osm.org. Okay, the second way of starting ID editor, you can start from tasking manager. Okay, so you can go to a particular task that you want to map and then click contribute and then read the instruction first, of course. And then after that, make sure to leave the ID editor as your choice here before clicking the map a task button. Make sure to leave ID editor as your editor. And then you can click map a task button, or if you have just clicked on a white grid, can click the map select the task button. And then map within the ping boundary. Ping boundary, yeah, that's the boundary for the grid. from the tasking manager. Right, let me show you how to do that. Right, so this is task.horizon.org, task.horizon.org, yeah, with the project number 13420. Okay, it's for Zambia census. Okay, this is the instruction. Okay, this is the editor here. Yeah, leave it as ID editor. Right, and then on your right hand side, there is a map with lots of grid on top of it. Yeah, you can just go ahead and click map a task button. It will assign you to a white grid randomly, or you can just click at any of these white grid and click map select the task. Okay, once you click map a task or map select a task, you will be taken to ID editor within the tasking manager. So it won't be open in a new tab. It's within the tasking manager. And there you go. You will see this being boundary. Okay, that's the boundary for the grid that I have selected before. Okay, so stay within your ping boundary, and most commonly found bugs when using tasking manager for ID editor. This ping boundary here, it did not load properly. Sometimes you won't see this ping boundary. So if that's the case, all you need to do is just refresh your page. Or if it's still happening, you can just use different kind of browser. Yeah, that's unfortunate. There is this bug. Sometimes this ping boundary, yeah, it didn't load properly, and it's not there. It's just all green like this, or you can only see the satellite imagery. You do not see any ping boundary. So if that's the case, yeah, please just refresh your page. It always does the trick. Right, so that's how to start ID editor from tasking manager. Right, next is we're going to learn how to map. So usually beginner mappers will only map simple features like buildings and roads, though road mapping is a little bit more complicated. So this is how to map buildings, square buildings or rectangular buildings. The first step is just find and zoom to unmapped buildings. Okay, find and zoom to the unmapped buildings. And once you find and zoom an unmapped buildings, you need to trace it using the area button. Okay, wait. And then once you activate the area button, you can just draw the buildings. Okay. And then after that, you need to take it as building. And lastly, you need to make sure that the building has 90 degrees on every corner by right clicking and then square. It's quite different with JOSM. I mean, JOSM have these building tools. So where you draw a building, you just draw it, even though it's square or rectangular or L shape or U shape or T shape, you can just draw it. You don't have to tag it and you don't have to square it because it will be automatic using the building tools. But in ID editor, all of this needs to be done manually. So you need to tag it manually, you need to square it manually. Okay, so that's how to map rectangular or square building, or L shape or U shape or T shape. Yeah, that's actually the same. You need to make sure every corner has 90 degrees by pressing Q or right click and then select the square icon. And we also have circular buildings. It's commonly found in Africa. So it's a little bit harder to spot. I mean, you can easily confuse it with trees, with rocks. And in rural Zambia, you can easily confuse it with ant hills. So you can just look out for half moon shadows and then raised points in the center. And circular buildings will rather have these darker colors of the roof. compared to the ground around it. And they will also have a rather smooth edge. So that's how you differentiate between trees, rock, or even anthills with circular buildings. Right. And to map circular buildings, it's almost the same as mapping rectangular or square building. First, you need to find and zoom, as usual, find and zoom in, and then instead of creating a circle, you can just create a triangle that covers the circular building. And then after that, tag it as building, and then last step is you need to make it a perfect circle by right clicking, and then select the circularize option, or the shortcut is O. Right, let me show you how to do this. Okay, so I'm mapping Zambia here. You can find circular building in Zambia. It's commonly found here in Zambia. Okay, so this is circular buildings. This is circular buildings. Okay, this is rectangular buildings. Okay, so find and zoom to an unmapped buildings. So a mapped building will have this pinkish or reddish shape on top of it. And if you hover, it will say feature type buildings on the left. So if you do not see any pinkish or reddish shape on top of your newfound building, yeah, that means it's unmapped. And you can just go ahead and map that. Okay. Yeah, this is available. Okay, so find and zoom. And how do you spot a building? Okay, so building has this key giveaways. First key giveaways is it has these straight edges. If it is a square or rectangular building, straight edges, yeah, because it is man-made, right? Okay, and it will also have these black thin lines on the edge of the building that indicates the shadow of the building. Black thin lines on the edge of the building. Okay, and you can also see the color of the roof is quite contrast from the ground around it. And it doesn't have to be brown. Sometimes it's white, sometimes it's gray, or even green or blue. Yeah, it's all right as long as you see other key giveaways of buildings. Okay, that's the third key giveaway. And last key giveaway, most buildings are located next to road, even though it's just small path like this. Small paths. And even though it hasn't been mapped, I mean, there will be pre-mapped roads. I mean, roads that has been mapped by other mappers. Okay, even though it's located next to unmapped roads, yeah, you can be sure that that is a building. Okay, once you are sure you have found, okay, this is a building and it hasn't been mapped, you need to zoom in so that the building is accurately mapped. I usually use this scale bar on my lower left corner. There is a scale bar. Yeah, I usually use less than 20 meters, like 15 or 10 meters, or even 5, depends on the size of the buildings. Okay, so once you have found, you need to zoom in. Then we can move on to the second step, which is drawing that building using this area button here on top. Hey, on JOSM, yeah, we don't have these buttons. We only have one button to draw, right? To draw any point or line or area. But in JOSM, in ID Editor, we have 3 different buttons here on top. And if you confuse which one is used for mapping buildings or for mapping roads, you can just hover on the button and you will see the clue what it is used for. Okay, so for area, it's to add parks, add buildings. So there you go. You are using area button. And the shortcut is 3. You can just press 3 on your keyboard. That's the shortcut. Yeah, that's much faster if you use the shortcut. And now your cursor will turn into a plus sign. Yeah, that means you are ready to trace the building, to draw the building. Okay, and then you can start at any corner of that building. You can start at any corner of that building. Start here or here or here or here. Okay, click once, then let go. Move to another corner. Click once, let go again, and then move to another corner. Click once, let go again, and then move to another corner. If this is the last corner of that building, you need to double click. Right, double click. Once you've double clicked, you will see the whole object is flashing red now. That means we are ready to move on to the third step, which is tagging what we have just drawn as building. Right. Let me click that building tag. So it's preset. It has been set by the manager of this mapping project. So you only see that building tag ready to be used because it's been set before. Okay. So it's usually used. It's usually set by the manager when the mapping project is building only project. Okay, click that building tag, and all of this field, yeah, it's not mandatory to be filled out, so you can just leave it as is. I mean, there's no way to know all these details, right? Just by looking at satellite imagery. Right, can just leave it, and then we can move on to the last step, which is making sure that every corner of this building has 90 degrees angle by right click and then select the square icon, or the shortcut is Q. Right, let me do that once again. Okay, see this one, it's covered with 3. Here, yeah, if it's covered with 3, the building is probably still going on under that 3, right? So if this is the case, you can just cut the edge of the tree. Cut the edge of the tree. Do not follow the edge of the tree. Yeah, sometimes a beginner mapper will map it like this. I mean, that wouldn't be right, right? And the building is still going on under that tree, most likely. Okay, so you can just cut the edge of the tree. Okay, double click to finish, tag it as building, right click within building and square. Okay, it's different for an L shape or a U shape or a T shape. All you need to do is just add additional corner for that building, L shape or U shape or T shape. Okay, I don't have one in my grid. So let's move on to the circular building. Okay, we do have several circular buildings here. Okay, yeah, we do have 2 here. Another 2 here. Also have here and here and here. So let's map one. Okay, so circular buildings will have rather smooth edges. It's different from like rocks or trees. They will have a rather not so smooth edges. So for example, we have anthills here in the instruction. Yeah, you'll see they have various sizes and not so smooth edges. Okay, let me open a bigger image one. Okay, yeah, so here you go. Yeah, you can see that it doesn't have really smooth edges, right? And the sizes of it, yeah, it varies, right? Some are big, some are not so big. Okay. And then you would see they have this for circular building, they have these half moon shadows. Half moon shadows. And the color of the roof is contrast from the ground around it, right? It's different with the anthills. Yeah, it's quite different from the anthills. They have like almost the same color of from with the ground around it. So that's how you differentiate between anthills or maybe trees or rocks. Tree will have this greenish color, right? And they won't have really smooth edges like this, like spiky edges. Yeah, it's different with circular building. So once you found a circular building, you can just zoom in and then trace it using area button. And instead of creating a circle, you can just create a triangle. Create a triangle that covers the whole building. Tag it as building. Right click within the building and then click circularize, or the shortcut is O. And you will have a perfectly drawn circular building. Okay, let me do that once again. Find an unmapped circular building. Draw it as a triangle. Tag it as building. Right click within the building and then select circularize. Circularize, or the shortcut is O. Just press O on your keyboard. Okay, so that's how to map both rectangular and circular buildings. Okay, let's go back to our slide here. Okay, yeah, just to recap, to map buildings, first you need to find and zoom, and then trace it, and then give it tag, and make sure to square it or to circle it. Okay, so that's how to map buildings on ID Editor. Okay, now we are going to move on to mapping roads. So road mapping is actually a little bit complicated, a little bit harder than building mapping. I mean, there are lots of tag for roads, and there are lots of small paths. Sometimes it leads to field, sometimes it leads to nowhere. So actually, it depends on the cost of the mapping project. Is it important to map the small paths, or is it not important to map the small path? Yeah, it depends on the cost of the mapping projects. I mean, for example, for contact tracing, for directing patient to the nearest health centers, yeah, we don't need small paths that leads to fields, right? I mean, we need to know navigation and connectivity by maybe by ambulance or by cars. So map routes for that mapping projects for that cost, we need to map roads that are connecting places such as villages and cities. Okay, so that again, that depends on the cost of the mapping projects, and it's usually stated in the instruction. So please make sure to check the mapping instructions before starting to map. Okay, so to map roads, there are 3 steps: find, trace, and tag. It's basically quite the same with buildings, but you don't have to square it or you don't have to circle it. So find an unmapped roads. It's easier to see connectivity of the road when you zoom out on your square. So it's a little bit different when mapping buildings. When mapping buildings, you need to zoom in, but when mapping roads, it's easier, yeah, to see where that road starts, where that road ends. It's easier to see by zooming out. So once you found an unmapped road and you have found where it starts and where it ends, you can trace it using the line button. So remember, we have three buttons in ID Editor. We have point, we have line, we have area. So area is used to map buildings before, but for roads, we use the line button. And if you forget which ones to use, to use to map roads or buildings, yeah, you can always hover on top of the button. So for line, it's used to map roads. Okay, select the line tool. You can click where the road starts and continue clicking each time the road changes direction. And then double click to finish drawing. Okay, if road crosses the edge of your square, of your pink boundary, when mapping using Tasking Manager, you will see there is a pink boundary of your grid. Yeah, if the road crosses, you can draw it and hand it over to the next mapper next to your grid by placing the last point slightly outside your pink boundary. So that's that way the mapper next to your grid can continue mapping that road easily. Okay, and in most cases, you will start mapping new roads starting from the already existing ones. So if that's the case, make sure that the first point of your line starts on the road. I mean, please don't leave a gap between existing road, between the two roads. And if two roads are intersecting, make sure they are connected in the intersection. And it's easy to confuse roads with dry rivers and stream. So so please be careful. And then after that, you can just tag the road. We have, yeah, this is also the one of the hard part when mapping roads. Like uh, you need to choose what kind of tag that is suitable for the road that you have just drawn. But the most common road tag that are used is unclassified. So unclassified is used if your road connects separate building cluster or settlement cluster in rural areas. That's to connect a cluster of buildings to another building cluster. And residential road is used for roads within a settlement area. Okay. And if you are not sure which tag is suitable for the road that you have just drawn, we do also have this wiki page special for highways. So in here, you can see what kind of tag suitable for the road. You can see the description of that tag, and you can also see how it will be rendered in the OSM map. And you can also see the photo in real life, what it looks like. Okay. So yeah, we do have lots of type of roads here. You can see when I'm scrolling down, yeah, there are tons of road type here. But yeah, again, the most commonly used road tag is unclassified and residential. Okay, I will show you how to map roads. Though this Zambia census mapping project it's only for um, building, so I'm not sure if I can tag roads here, but let me just show you how to map roads. So to map roads, find an unmapped road and zoom out to see the connectivity, to see the connection. Yeah, you can see it start here and it ends, yeah, far way here. Yeah, but it leads to just barren land. Okay, let's say it's an unclassified, let's say there is a settlement here. So this road leads to settlement. Just let's say, just for example, yeah. So I'm going to draw this road using this line button, or the shortcut is to. Remember, you can always hover on top of the button. ID. Okay. So this is the case where there is an existing road. So do not leave a gap between the road, this road and this road. And you may see this road is actually a little bit misaligned. It's all right. It's usually mapped with outdated satellite imagery or different kind of satellite imagery. Okay. So use this line button to draw this road. Do not leave a gap. Yeah. Click on that line of the existing road to start. Click once. Okay. Can continue clicking when the road changes direction. Okay. Okay. Continue. Right. Here I'm going to show you what if the road is still continuing, but it's outside our ping boundary. Okay, so if this is the case, you can just click slightly outside of your ping boundary so that the mapper on the grid next to mine, they can just easily continue mapping this road. Okay, so double click to finish. Okay, because this is a building only mapping projects, and the tag has been set, it's preset, so we cannot find any road tag here. So let me go back to my osm.org and see if I can map roads here and then tag it as road. Okay, so on osm.org, you won't find that ping boundary because we don't use tasking manager. Okay, let me just draw this. Oh, I think it's not drawn. Oh, it's all been mapped. Okay. Okay, let's just use the one that has been mapped. Okay, so this is where you select the tag for the road. Yeah, because it's within the settlement. Yeah, we can use residential road. Okay. So this is what it looks like when you have that road tag options. When it's not preset by the uh, tasking manager, you can actually select all of these tags other than the preset one, such as buildings. Yeah, so this is where you can select the roads, or you can search. For example, if you feel, okay, that is, I think that's more like a path, or yeah, path. Yeah, you can just search it in the search box and then select the one that you want to use. And you can also uh, click this I button. Yeah, it will show you like small description of what it is. Like it's small preview of the highway here, the highway page on the wiki page. Is this path? Yeah, yeah, this one. Yeah, you can see that the image is exactly the same on ID editor. Yeah, this is when the tag is not preset. You can found this I button on the left, the feature type. Yeah, then you can see the description of what it is, and you can also see the photo. Or if you want to see further, see the complete page, you can just click view documentation. Yeah, so that's what makes it different from ID and JOSM. It's a web based, and on the tag you can also see like the info for that tag, and you can, yeah, it's also can be preset if you use tasking manager. Okay, so that's how to map roads. Okay, now let's move on to how to save all of this. So in ID editor, because we need a stable internet connection, so we need to be connected to the internet all the time when mapping with ID. It's quite different with JOSM. So once you've loaded the data or the tile, it's not using your connection again, unless when you want to save. Uh, but in ID, you need to be connected to internet all the time. So that's why it's important to save, especially save regularly, maybe every 10 or 15 edits by clicking the save button. There is a save button. Okay, let me show you. Okay, let me just delete this because we don't have the tag here, because yeah, the tag is preset in this tasking manager for Zambia. Okay, let me save the buildings that I have drawn previously. Right, this is the save icon. Okay, in ID editor, you will see there is a number next to the save icon. I have 5, so that means I have 5 unsaved edits or 5 unsaved changes. Okay, so you can yeah, save maybe 5 or every 5 or 10 edits by looking at this save icon. This way you won't lose your edits. I mean, sometimes our internet connection just lost like that. Sometimes our computer froze. So that's why when using ID editor, yeah, you need to save it regularly. Okay, and then in the change comment box, yeah, you can add or you can modify the hashtag there. Okay, if you need to add additional hashtag, you can go ahead. It's in the change comment box. please do not put it in the hashtag box, because usually this hashtag is used for tracking progress, right? And if you put it in the hashtag box, yeah, it won't be counted. Make sure to save it in the chat comment box. Oh yeah, usually the mapper, the beginner mapper, they will mistakenly put the hashtag on the name of the building. Yeah, it's commonly found. Uh, so maybe sometimes you will see name hashtag something. Yeah, that's where the beginners mistaken. So it should go in the chat comment box, but they put it in the name of the buildings. Yeah, sometimes we have found that. And then yeah, and then upload. Oh yeah, we also have this. I would like someone to review my edits in the ID editor. Yeah, if you are not sure of your edits and you want someone to check your edits as soon as possible, yeah, you can give it a check mark. But if you are confident with your edits, you can just leave it as is and then click upload. All right, so that's how to save. Okay, let me check the chat if there is any question. Okay, yeah, I have a question here in the chat box. How to map roads with more than 2 lanes? Yeah, 2 lanes. So if that road has a separator in the middle of it, if they have a separator in the middle of it, you need to draw it differently, and then you need to draw it with additional tag one way yes, and you need to draw it like exactly where the direction is. For example, if the road is from uh, from east to west, yeah, you need to draw it from east to west, so that the arrow is uh, is from east to west. And if you draw it mistakenly, you draw it from west to east, it's all right. We do have the reverse option. We do have the reverse option. So that's how that's to reverse direction. Yeah, but yeah, if the road has a separator in the middle of it, yeah, you have to draw it 2 lines, using 2 lines of the road. Okay, I hope that answer your question. Okay, and next question, is it possible to map buildings with Courtyard using ID editors? Yeah, we are able to do that. Do you mean like buildings that has like a hollow courtyard in the middle? Yeah, I think we could. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so for example, this road here, sorry, this building here is a courtyard. Courtyard. Okay, I think so. I've done this before, but sometimes it has, when I open it in JOSM, it has area. I mean, it has no text or something, or area needs specific hashtag, something like that. But let me check. We could. Yeah, this is the merge feature. Okay, so for mapping those, yeah, we can use the merge option, and yeah, leave the area in the middle as area yes. But let me check again if this is the right way to draw this. I mean, I have done this, but it's been a long time ago, but let me get back to you with this. But if I'm not mistaken, yeah, you can just draw it and then select the two and then right click, and then yeah, before we have the merge option, sorry, just click first, yeah, and then merge it using the merge option. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this is how we do it in ID editor, but let me get back to you. Let me check first and I will get back to you. I'm sorry. Okay. Do you also map roads that are leading in the middle of nowhere or field? Okay, it actually depends on the mapping projects, but most of the time we only need to map like main roads only, like primary, secondary, tertiary, unclassified, or the roads that has connectivity to settlements. So most of the time, yeah, we do not need to map roads that leads to nowhere. Yeah. Okay, and hashtag, yeah, will the hashtag hotdqi 2022 be the only Changset comment? Yeah, we are going to that that only hashtag, but Becky also has answers. Yeah, it will be the additional hashtag that we add along with the hashtag that's been set for the tasking manager, of course. Yeah, that's the only hashtag that you need to add, yeah, here. Yeah, hashtag hot DKI 2022. Yeah, that's the only hashtag you need to add manually when saving. Oh yeah, in ID editor, when adding hashtag, you only need to type it the first time you save it. So if this is your first time, you can just add the hashtag after the final hashtag in the Changset comment box. That's automatically added in the Changset comment box. Just press type after the last hashtag. Do not delete the existing hashtag, and then type the additional hashtag DQI 2022 and then upload. And the second time when you save it, all you need to do is just press spacebar after the last hashtag, and this hashtag will be there. So you only need to type it the first time you save it. Yeah, that's about the hashtag when saving. Okay, and then once you have finished mapping, so you can go to the there is a tab next to your map. It's called completion tab. Next to the instruction tab, yeah, there is a task status where you can select the status of the grid that you are mapping now. Okay, so you can select yes if you have mapped all the objects within your ping boundary. All the objects means the objects that is state on the types of mapping. So if it's buildings only, yeah, all you need to map is buildings only. So if all the buildings has been mapped, you can select yes. If you haven't finished, but you have to go or you want to change grid, you can select no. We'll open your path log, and the imagery path is only used when the satellite imagery is covered with clouds, so you cannot see any buildings at all. Okay, so that's how to get out of your grid if you are using Tasking Manager. Okay, all right. Next, features of ID editors. So if a project is set up correctly, the imagery which mappers are told to use in the instruction, they will usually put what kind of satellite imagery you need to use in the instruction. So yeah, if it's set up using that, so the satellite imagery will load automatically. Usually they will say please use Maxar, for example, Maxar Premium Imagery. It's been set as the imagery for this project. So if that's what it says in the instruction, yeah, it will load automatically because it's been set up by the manager. But you can change to other satellite imagery for comparison, or you can adjust the display options, the offset of the satellite imagery in the background settings, or the shortcut is P. Or there is a stack of paper icon on your right hand side. Okay, that's where you can find the building background settings. Okay. In there, you can change the satellite imagery. You can adjust the brightness, the contrast, the saturation, and sharpness of the satellite imagery. And you can also set the imagery offset there. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so there is a set of icon here on your right hand side when using ID editors, be it in Tasking Manager or in the osm.org. We have the same buttons. So this plus and minus is used to zoom in and zoom out the map. Okay, and the most also the most commonly used icon is this stack of paper icon. That's where you change backgrounds, where you adjust the display option, or you can just press B on your keyboard. That's a shortcut. So in here we are using Maxar Premium Imagery. In the instruction, they are saying it's been set as the default imagery. Okay, that's why we automatically use Maxar Premium. But for comparison, we can change to other satellite imagery such as Bing or Esri or Mapbox. The changing of satellite imagery is used when you are not sure. Hey, is that actually a building, or is that actually a road? You can compare to other satellite imagery so that you can be sure, okay, that is a building. That is actually a building. But once you have made sure, please go back to the satellite imagery that stated in the instructions, and then draw that. If you have to draw it, draw that against the satellite imagery that's been set as the default, which is Maxar Premium. Right, scroll down. This is where you can adjust brightness, contrast, saturation, and the sharpness of the satellite imagery. Usually, if this is your first time changing the display option, you need to expand it by clicking on the arrow next to the display option. And in there, you can just adjust it as you want. Okay, adjust it. Okay. And if you have finished, you can just leave it as is, or you can just close the background settings. And in the background settings, you can also set the imagery offset. All you need to do is drag anywhere in the gray area below this text here. Oh, let's use it for the road. Okay, so that's how you change the imagery offset as well as display option. Also the satellite imagery, right? And you can just close it. And so that's a feature for ID editor for imagery. Okay, next one. This is what I mentioned previously. So projects that are designed for beginner, they will often have preset, text restricted. Most often this is used for buildings only projects. So the previous one, the Zambia one, yeah, that's buildings only project. So that's why the text has been restricted as building tag only. This will limit the amount of damage that new mapper can do. I mean, it only allows them to add the features they are asked to map, right? I mean, I map road in that Zambia projects, even though it's buildings only project. Yeah, but when I want to tag it as road, yeah, there is no road tag, only building tag. So this is why some of the project, especially yeah, buildings only project, they have the tax restricted. Yeah. So this is uh the view the you can see if it's been restricted, you can only see buildings tag only, and if it's not restricted, you can see like buildings, land use features, building features, road, or yeah, anything uh aside from building. Okay, so that's also uh what we can do, especially when we use tasking manager. We can limit the tags, and this way, yeah, we don't have building uh drone using line, and they will tag it as road. Yeah, we will not have that. Okay, the next ID feature, errors. So yeah, ID has this uh ability to also check like issues or errors, same as JOSM, but not as good as JOSM, unfortunately. But yeah, ID editor, uh, they won't allow you to upload your changes when you have errors. See, the upload button is disabled here because this person has errors. Area has no descriptive text. Yeah, that's actually the most common errors found um, and done by um, beginner mappers. That's because like that's because they forgot to tag it as building, so they just drawn it. They just draw it using the area button, and then maybe right click and square, but they forgot to give it uh, the tag. So that's why they have this error. And yeah, this error is the most common one, and it won't allow you to save whenever you have this error. So make sure to fix it right away by clicking on the error. Area has no descriptive text, and then you will be taken to where it is located. Yeah, click that error. Okay. Yeah. Oh, there where I forgot to give tag to. Then click the area and then select the suitable tag, which is building. And once you've given it a tag, you will see the upload button will be enabled. That means you can save your edits. Right. Okay, let me show you. Let me undo my imagery offset here. So to undo the imagery offset, you can just click on this undo or reset button in the corner of imagery offset. So it will be back as 00 for the imagery offset. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you forgot to give tag. Errors area has no descriptive text and the upload button is disabled. Yeah, you are not able to save your edits. Okay, so click on the error. Area has no descriptive text, and you'll be taken to where it is, and it will be flashing red. And then you can either click area or click select a feature type on your left. Okay, you can either click this or this. And then give it a suitable tag, which is building. Okay, when try saving it again, yeah, you can see the upload button is now enabled and I don't have any error anymore. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Yeah, these are some of pitfalls in ID. The first is unsquared buildings. So as we know, JOSM has these building tools that enables you to map buildings very fast, and you don't have to give it a building tag manually. You don't have to make it you don't have to make sure that every corner has 90 degrees, because it's also automatically squared when using building tools in JOSM. And yeah, there is no equivalent tools in ID. So we have to throw it manually, we have to tag it manually, we have to make sure that every corner is has 90 degrees angle. And but in ID editor, we have some kind of bug. When we draw these like extreme angles for buildings, when we try making it as square buildings, yeah, it won't be able to do that properly. Like in the example here, yeah. For example, we draw this building that has extreme angles here. Then when we try right click square, yeah, it's not squared properly. Yeah, it's this is some kind of bugs, and yeah, we can also find it by beginner mappers. Yeah, sometimes they map it not so smooth and with extreme angles, and when they try squaring it, it doesn't square. It's not square. So yeah, if you find beginner mappers that use ID editor, please look out for this kind of um, buildings that has extreme angles, because we need to like manually drag the corner so that it aligns with this applied imagery. Okay, another pitfalls in ID, duplicated buildings. So when mapping in ID editors, the pre-map features, pre-map objects, it's not, it doesn't load automatically. I mean, you need to zoom in first, and then you will see, oh, this building actually has been mapped. Oh, this road is actually been mapped by other mappers. So unless you zoom in, yeah, you won't be able to see the pre-map objects. And beginner mappers, they sometimes map buildings like they forgot to zoom in, so they just map it like really zoom out and then just map it, uh, and that's why duplicated building can be found, because yeah, you need to zoom in when mapping and to make to see if that object has been mapped or not. Okay. Okay, next pitfalls is connected nodes. Yeah, so ID editor has a tendency to snap to existing map objects. And when ID mappers buildings close to each other, map buildings that is really close to each other, yeah, this often causes connected nodes because of the tendency to snap. Yeah. And not only to building next to the building that we map. Sometimes it connects to roads or even land use. Okay, and we actually do have like a shortcut for that. If I'm not mistaken, it's W to to avoid the tendency to snap. Yeah, but let me check again later. I honestly rarely use that, but yeah, let me check it later and I will get that to you. Okay. Yeah, another pitfalls for ID editor is tag corners. This is happen mostly with beginner mappers when they mistakenly double click on that last corner more than twice. And if the tag is not restricted, yeah, they will mark it as bicycle parking garage. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so for example, a mapper map these buildings, but they click more than twice on that one last corner. Yeah, they will only have that one last corner flashing red. This means we they only I only select that one last corner because the only thing that is flashing red is that one last corner. Yeah, that means yeah, it's the selected node is only that one last corner where we are supposed to select the whole object, right? For tagging. But if we accidentally click more than twice in that one last corner, yeah, that one last corner will be the only thing that is flashing red. And if this is the case, yeah, they won't be able to tag it as building because it's only a point, right? It's only a point, a node. And if the tag is not restricted, if it's not preset, uh, they can search for building tag. They can search for a building tag and they will select the first thing that is shown in the search feature, which is building recycle garage. Okay. Yeah, bicycle parking garage, sorry. Yeah, that's also commonly found for beginner mappers when mapping because yeah, they don't know that they have accidentally clicked more than twice. And then when they cannot find that building tag, yeah, they will search it in the search box and tag it with the tag that is available for them. Okay, so that's one of the pitfalls in the ID editor. But uh, if we use a tasking manager, yeah, that can be avoidable by tag restriction, by creating a preset for that particular tasking manager. All right, so that's all about ID editor. Okay, we still have 5 more minutes. Let me check the chat box. Okay, yeah, the hashtag is added when you save your edits. And yeah, for interns here, we are using the project number 13353 for your work plan. Okay, so for the next step, between now and the introduction to JOSM session, which is this Wednesday, please familiarize yourself with ID by spending around 8 hours of mapping a variety of different projects using ID. You can use this project 13353 and please add the hashtag HotDQI2022 before uploading. Okay, let's see the task. So this is the task that you need to map. Okay, so contribute. Okay, let me unlock this one and then yeah, Okay.
Tree, thank you so much.
Yeah.
There's a question for you actually in the chat. Is
Yeah.
there a way to update edit soil mapping in ID as it is done in JOSM with shift control plus U, or you can unmute yourself. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. To update, to refresh, not to refresh. Yeah, to update if there is a new features, right? Map being mapped in within your area of mapping. Is that what you mean?
Um,
Yes, can I explain what I
Yeah.
mean? When you
Yeah.
were
Of course.
actually explaining to us on when mapping road, where you need to stop at the boundary, you need to exceed it small. So I'm actually looking in the situation whereby the other tax by the right, which you are exceeding small, that somebody is also mapping that tax and also want to exceed small too. So you see, at the end of the day, you thereby crossing the boundary and the other person cross the boundary, which result to low data quality. So I'm asking, is there any way, probably before you finish and update, is there any way you can update to know whether is there any conflicting edits between your own and another person before uploading, just like it is done on JSON? You can actually use Control E to know whether do you have double mapping, do you have overlapping node or something like that. Is there any
Yeah.
way?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for your question. Yeah, I got what you mean. Yeah, but I'm not really sure actually if we can update the data using ID editor, because I haven't done that honestly. But let me do a research first, and if I found a way to do that, yeah, I will let you know. If that's all right with you, because yeah, I haven't tried updating data using ID editor, because all I do using editor is just map and yeah, it's usually mapping buildings. So I'm not really sure if there is a way of doing that. But yeah, let me do further research on that, and I will get back to you if that's all right with you.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. And then there was another question that I was asked. Are we around to map using JOSM at this moment? So we are going to be using ID editor for the next 2 weeks or 1 week. So we are doing this because we want you guys to get very familiar with ID editor so that you know how to give the constructive feedback to the mapper. So that is the purpose of mapping with ID. Yeah. So for this week and the project that we are going to work on, please use ID editor for mapping it. We shall start using JOSM as soon as we are done with introduction to JOSM. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask Tree. Tree is on Slack as Tree. And then in case of all the stuff that she says she's going to research, she'll always reach out to me and I'll share them in the channel. Yeah. Any other questions, please? Maybe just one more thing. I just realized that the hashtag that I had mentioned that you should add has already been added by default, so no need to add it again. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I had one question. As we have to work about 40 hours a week, how can we monitor the timing? So do we need to report it or?
Awesome. So like I mentioned earlier on, you are going to be working 40 hours per week. That includes the trainings. So you calculate the number of hours you spent for this training, for the morning training, and then the number of hours. The rest you use it for mapping. So in total, it will be about 8 hours a day. So 8 hours times 5 days, that's 40. Yes, that's 40 hours a week. Did I answer your question well?
Do we need to report it or simply we need to map 8 hours a day?
Yes, so you'll have the Google form, like I mentioned in the kickoff call meeting. You fill in the number of hours you have worked in total. Not like you don't report per day, you report every week on Mondays. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice. Then there is the hashtag. Yes, go ahead.
In terms of going back to the number of hours spent on mapping, are we going to base it on the number of hours being reflected in the hot tasking manager, or we just put on our starting hours to end hours?
Okay, so
Thank you.
thank you very much for that question. So the challenge is the hot tasking manager time clock is kind of lagging, and the tech team is working on that. So what you're going to do once you get your computer, you say I've started at 10 a.m. So is there any meeting? You attend that meeting. If that meeting is for 1 hour, that's 1 hour, you're left with 7 hours. So the rest of the 7 hours, you use them for mapping or validation, or attending any meetings in between. So in case you have, let me say for today, you have this one, and then you've had the morning kickoff call. That's approximately 2 hours you have spent. So the rest 6 hours will be for mapping the project that we have shared. Is that okay? And then you do the same for tomorrow until the end of the week. If you intend to work like from Monday to Friday, that's 8 Monday, 8 Tuesday, up to Friday, and the total will be 40 hours, inclusive training sessions.
Please, you know, in a hot task manager, what's the time that is recorded there is time for mapping. Let's say you're doing validation. How do you track the time? Because I don't know, but I can't see where validation time countdown is on task manager.
Awesome. Another good question. So there is a way to do that. That's why I'm requesting you to just calculate. You can clock yourself just like a normal working job. Once you start work at, is it 9 p.m.? Then you close at 5. That's the same thing you will be doing. But the interesting thing about this internship is that you're given a chance to even work up to weekend. So in case you have any errands or any emergencies in between the week, you can cover that up to Sunday, because you'll be reporting your time on Monday morning, depending on the time you are, depending on the time you are at. Your mornings, every Monday morning you report. But then the total number of hours should not exceed 40. They can be less than 40, but they shouldn't exceed 40. Okay, so there's another question here. Can we do, sorry, Tree, about these questions. All right, so another question here is, do we have some hour morning or the rest of us evening? It's a bit confusing. So it doesn't matter the country you're at. Your morning, you wake up. If you have a training, you attend the training, and then you continue with mapping or validation. In between there, if you have a training, you jump into the training, you come back and complete. Just make sure you have mapped only for 8 hours a day. Yeah. Is our time starts from training? Yes, you start tracking your time inclusive of the training. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier on, for today, it's 2 hours for the two calls, and then you're left with 6 hours. So the remaining hours for the team that has attended both sessions, we should use it to do mapping, the project that Tree has shared. Yeah, I think that's it. If we have any other questions, let's keep asking in the group chat. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. And have a great day. Please continue mapping, and let us know, ask questions in the chat, in the Slack chat, in case you have any challenges mapping. If you're unable to select a task, please report all that, because you're going to start tracking your work today, and you report on Monday. Yeah, there's one question is it a question? Okay, nice. Thank you so much to Jenny.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thanks, Becky.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.